Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, Tactics Ogre, Fire Emblem, Advance Wars, Disgaea, Pokemon Conquest, and many more. These games absolutely shaped my love for the tactical RPG genre, and if you've seen any of my past videos, I also love playing games with that pixel art, SNES/PS1 and retro-ish type of energy, such as Octopath Traveler and Sea of Stars. So when I saw Sword of Convallaria, I immediately got pulled into it. Sword of Convallaria is a tactical gacha RPG releasing on the PC, Android, and iOS on July 31st, 2024. I know what you're thinking, a gacha tactical RPG? What in the world is this nonsense? This actually surprised me at first. The game actually has a free-to-play mode that doesn't utilize the gacha elements Sword of Convallaria implemented. Sword of Convallaria's story starts with a city on the verge of civil unrest. Our main character then wakes up inside a jail cell and is saved by a bunch of mercenaries. As they fight their way out of the city against the city guard and the rioters that have started looting the city, after being able to escape, the game throws in the main mechanics that we'll have to interact with. First is the gacha and energy-centric system. The main character is transported to a place outside time and space called Elysium, which is guarded by this adorable cat. The cat then explains that if the main character wants to change the world they're living in, they would have to dive into the memories of events that have occurred. The deeper you go into the past, the more distorted memories become. Their current mission is to change the events that occurred in the siege of Waverun City and acquire the Wheel of Fortune and use its power to alter the past. The gameplay for the energy system is very standard for gacha/energy-focused games. You'll have to complete levels and obtain stars via completing objectives and specific missions. Think of it like Candy Crush but without the puzzles, and that you won't need the help of an auntie who's level 1000 at the game. You can level up characters, equip them with items, and essentially progress the Elysium story as long as you have energy to spare. Since we're playing the demo, we only had a handful of levels to try. Let's discuss the gacha system. It's the same thing you see in almost every other gacha game. You have your weapon banner and your character banner. They have a set of units categorized as legendary, epic, rare, and common. The character banner guarantees you a legendary character at 100 pulls. However, if ever luck is in your favor, you can get a legendary unit like I did on my first pull, and mind you, that's a 2% chance of happening. I'd say the set percentage of the gacha system here is a bit generous compared to other games. You also have a 5% chance of getting a legendary weapon as well. I'm not gonna lie, I am very pleased I got Samantha because her visuals are absolutely cool, and plus, it wouldn't hurt getting a healer. Once the game launches, I'm pretty sure they'll start putting out their event banners and exclusive characters. I just hope I get to keep my progress and not lose my Samantha. The free-to-play section of the game, or F2P section, is activated after you get the Wheel of Fortune, and you earn Keys of Destiny. You get thrown into a timeline where you've changed the events of Waverun City and are appointed the assistant leader of the band of mercenaries who helped you escape, the Sword of Convallaria. He said the thing, guys. Roll credits, video's over. Jokes aside, you can bring 3 characters from your gacha roster and use them in the free-to-play story mode. The game loop in the free-to-play Spiral of Destinies is sort of like energy. You, the main character, as the assistant leader to the leader of the Sword of Convallaria, shout out to the Office fans, have to command units in combat. Missions will have certain objectives, such as taking out specific enemy units, protecting units and objects, and even holding out in a battle. Each of these missions will consume unit stamina. You'll have to manage the stamina and evenly distribute your units. You can spam all your strong units for a mission, however, the drawback there is that you may not be able to use them in the next mission if they run out of stamina. You can spread out your units based on the difficulty of the missions and the impact they have on that timeline story. You can replenish unit stamina by having them rest in town. Speaking of town, you can research tactical magic, create armor and weapons, train and upgrade and even recruit units. This makes the F2P experience a lot more tolerable. Certain tasks will take weeks to complete depending on the task. Each mission you take is an equivalent of 1 week but will also span longer depending on difficulty. There will be scenarios where you need to complete a task within a set amount of weeks. However, if you do fail at this or have situations where you would like to reverse a character death, you can always run the scenario back with the Key of Destiny. As each scenario ends, you are then faced with choices that affect the town you're in. You can make decisions that are either good or bad, and these can have effects in combat or could make some situations worse. Some missions will have points geared towards maintaining the town's stability, and some will yield points towards a faction. There are 5 factions in total, and each one will treat you differently depending on your level of diplomacy with them. Some will be indifferent, some will be immediately hostile, and some are allied. It truly depends on how you balance those relationships. The art and music of the game is absolutely wonderful. I do enjoy looking at the mix of the HD portraits the characters have, while their in-game sprites look so cool. Some will definitely look generic like the Axeman because duh, you gotta get that buff muscly character design in, but then there's the roguish characters like Crimson Hawk. The design is a spectacular one and gives off the energy the thief from Final Fantasy Tactics exude. The music gives off old school PS1 Tactical RPG energy. The sprite work in the environment does look great, and even the skill effects look good. I'm such a huge sucker for that 2D HD vibe these modern pixel games employ. Let's jump into combat. The game has a system where it's a rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock thing going on. Seekers are weak against defenders, while defenders are weak to breakers, and so on. The best thing about this is that it incentivizes players to strategically choose their units for fights. You can't just rush in with an OP character you have and say, yeah, I can take on 2 to 3 units without dying. When you attack, units have the capability to use skills which will cost them energy points. Each turn will replenish these points so you can't just spam OP attacks. Units can level up every after mission, and you can even use the training brands to level them up there as well. Your leveling materials in the gacha section of the game do not count in the free-to-play mode. Movement during battles is basically having the characters move onto squares and have them be in range to attack their targets. The main thing the game needs to add on launch is a rotating camera because things like barrels and crates can obscure vision and can potentially trip you up, especially in combat. It does mix and match what good features other tactical RPGs have and use it to its advantage. One of my favorite things this game does is the use of explosive barrels. I love environmental effects, and blowing up barrels is so fun, and you can even drop enemies down to your deaths, or if you really want to ham it up, steamroll enemies with boulders. The game features voice acting and is a really great addition, as most games from an older era of tactical RPGs don't feature voice acting. The translation though is very rough as of the demo, so I hope the devs fix this.
誤解をお招きしましたこと、深くお詫び申し上げます。よろしければ、代わりに私めがお客様のために一曲披露させていただきます。いかがでしょうか。
もういい。あんたみたいな踊り子の舞は散々見てきたんだ。
Another thing I didn't like is how mobile-centric the controls were. Even though I was playing this on the PC, it felt more optimized for a touchscreen. Traveling around town trying to click around is a bit of a bother. However, I appreciated having that feature where you hold onto the left click and it turns into a pad where you can just glide up and down. However, it still doesn't make up for the fact that it still feels like it's just made for mobile phones. I appreciate how controller support is available when you play it on Steam. However, it does keep showing a cursor when you're in cutscenes, and that takes the immersion from the cutscene, so I had to remove it and just play with the mouse and keyboard. Sword of Convallaria is a fun game with such a weird twist. The gacha elements of the game can be quite glaring for players and could potentially be a hard entry point. The game's F2P section paired up with the Elysium content could have been its own game without the gacha. I love it when the game decides to do branching storylines and butterfly effect type of events. I would jump on this game in a heartbeat if it was a standalone game without the gacha mechanics. If the game had built up its reputation similar to Octopath Traveler when they launched Champions of the Continent, then maybe this game wouldn't scare away any potential new players. Here's hoping that this game is gonna have an amazing launch. Thank you so much for watching the video. I totally appreciate it. If you could leave a comment, like the video so the algorithm knows this is a good video, and even subscribe. That absolutely helps. What's your take on the game? Do you think they should have dropped the gacha? Will you be playing it for the story alone? I did hear that there was a Taiwan/Chinese version of the game already deployed, and I'm so hyped to see what they have in store for the global launch. So, fingers crossed we're gonna see awesome game modes and powerful characters. This has been your boy AndroidPAW, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.